So you think you know Christopher Walken. Pocket watch, cowbell, cantaloupe, dancing, plants, soldering iron. He's an actor whose credits go back to the 1950s. He's played everything from a James Bond villain to an ant. Studying his massive career gave me a lot of insight on a working actor's approach to a variety of roles. And when I say study, I really mean study. You may be a Christopher Walken fan, and you think you've seen all his best stuff, only you haven't. I have. Seriously, my writing partner Kenny and I have watched every Christopher Walken project that is available to see. We made a podcast about it. Took years. Recording on Sundays. I had 2 kids over the course of this journey, watching Around the Bend while my son took a nap. Here's a bunch of random DVDs people sent us. Here's Scam on VHS. Looks like it was borrowed from the library and never returned. I don't know. Here's a mold of Walken's face from The Prophecy. Somebody sent it to me. I don't know where they got it, but it's hanging on my wall. He opens his eyes when I'm not looking. Sure, there are some things of his that literally no one has seen. There's Cleopatra, an experimental art film with an extended group horny scene. The shelved comedy God's Behaving Badly, featuring Walken playing the Greek god Zeus opposite a then-unknown Ebon Moss-Bacharach, and a 5-minute short film Walken wrote and directed, Popcorn Shrimp, starring Ralph Macchio. But there are some obscure projects Kenny and I managed to find, and to me, they're just these lost treasures that I have to share with you guys. It's kind of a curse knowing so much about this man, so you're going to help shoulder this burden. Here are 5 Christopher Walken performances in projects you've most likely never seen, and why I love them. And as always, I want to give a special thanks to our patrons over on the Back Focus Patreon. Check it out if you'd like to help support this channel.
What would you do if you suddenly saw through a wall?
I don't see through walls. Nor do you, nor does anyone else.
Way back when Walken was still going by his real name, Ronnie, he was helping his dad working in the Walken family bakery and already getting roles as a child actor. By the way, Walken was noticeably taller as a child compared to his father because to cut costs during the Great Depression, his father baked sawdust into the pastries and subsequently got the rickets. I don't know what you guys want to do with that information, but it's yours now. Anyway, after a couple years on a soap opera, Walken landed this short film at the age of 13 in which he played Ernie, a young boy who can suddenly see through walls. Oh, and it causes a lot of tension, Father.
Of course, his father tries to talk some sense into him. Old boy, strange little boy, why do you keep doing all this? See-through walls and whatnot, and the riff-raff and the kerfuffle.
You must try to give up the habit.
But it's only just beginning. It shall get worse rather than better.
That's kind of ominous. It is the creepiest superpower, to be honest. Right up there with being a hollow man.
Oh my gosh, Mommy!
I like this purely from the novelty of seeing Walken before he grew up into what we all know him for. You know, before the darkness really took hold.
Do you like it? Seeing through walls?
Oh, it's not bad at all. It's interesting, you know. I see so much more.
For the record, it took me a long time to find this. I think I ended up downloading it off of some Russian Facebook page, so if you're all interested in watching it, I've taken the liberty of uploading it as an unlisted link on the channel, so it's in the description. Yeah, go nuts.
Have some more meat, Ernie.
No, thank you, Father. I want to save room for dessert.
You have any clues? No sign of forced entry, nothing's disturbed. 2 sets of prints, hers and her mother's. The only thing not where it should be is this woman's insides.
This one you may have heard of, but it's got an interesting story. Presumably at some point in the mid-1990s, Walken's rep sat down with him and explained what a video game was, and how there's this new generation of interactive storytelling video games that featured full-motion video. The PC game Wing Commander 3, starring Mark Hamill, had already done exceedingly well for Take-Two, the company behind it, so they continued betting it all on this full-motion video craze. Ripper was the next big one, with a multi-million-dollar budget and a stacked cast. Besides Walken, you got Paul Giamatti, Burgess Meredith, Karen Allen, John Rhys-Davies, David Patrick Kelly, Ossie Davis, Jimmy J.J. Walker from Good Times, and Artie Bucco from The Sopranos. Walken spent hours in a studio reading his lines from a teleprompter to play Vince Magnotta, a somewhat shady homicide detective in a cyberpunk version of New York in the year 2040 who knows a lot more about this case involving the Ripper than he's letting on.
See, what interests me, though, Magnon, is that you have a month-old file lying on your desk. Does it have something to do with the Ripper?
You're lucky I'm in a good mood today, Conan, because you come this close to finding out what it's like to be a human shish kebab rotating in one of our fine penal institutions. But you're way off on that.
The script was 317 pages long, and a small group of extremely overworked rendering artists would sometimes go without sleep trying to keep up with the production. Walken himself reportedly endured a 19-hour workday at one point. It also didn't help that they kept having to turn off the air conditioning so that there wouldn't be any background noise. Good thing they replaced it with this catchy background music. However hard the production was, Walken was a trooper, and every line of his, every chomp of that cigar, it's just a treasure.
As far as I know, he left us with one witness, and she's feeling a little fragmented at the moment. I don't have time to weep about sheep.
This guy is unbelievable.
Why'd you hit me, Quinlan? What are you, stupid?
I love the performance because it's so silly and over the top, and it's fascinating seeing Walken be one of these actors that got swept up by this brief full-motion video craze.
You're walking on thin ice, Quinlan. If it cracks, ain't nobody gonna hear you scream when you go under.
Which didn't last too long and was overshadowed by more action-oriented games. For example, reportedly during breaks in shooting their supposedly revolutionary immersive video game, members of the crew would sneak off to play Doom 2.
I thought I threw you out. Now get the out of here.
What are you looking at?
Dude, look at yourself. You look like a bus driver, man.
Nice t-shirt. Real. 5th grade?
Bachelor Trip, also known by its alternate title, Life's a Beach. Did you get it? Did you get that? It's like I said bitch, but I didn't. I said beach. Were you listening? I said beach. But you thought there was a little thing in but you're the one that took it into the gutter. It's a pretty gross, subpar sex comedy. And this is coming from someone who played a character named Lube in a direct-to-video American Pie movie, who at one point tries to remove an old dead Canadian prostitute from Alfalfa's dick by bashing her in the skull with a rotary phone. So this guy, Darren, he gets together with this girl, Rebecca. He wants to marry her. Her overprotective dad, Roy, played by Christopher Walken, is in a miserable marriage with his wife. Rebecca ditches Darren at the altar because she's in love with Herc from The Wire, setting the stage for Darren to go on his pre-planned honeymoon anyway with his wacky, horny best friend, RJ Horny. He's a horny guy, horny boy. That's who he is. Mr. Horny Boy and Darren, they're just trying to dog some chicks, man. And there's some jokes.
You got protection? Yeah, got 30 right here.
Did they really make that joke? Didn't they do that in Austin Powers?
Did you use protection?
Of course. I had my 9mm automatic.
And because they're still like on the honeymoon package, people think that they're a gay couple, including this gay stereotype guy who like listens in on them as they're trying to put on scuba gear, but everything they say sounds like they're doing it.
Put that in your mouth. Like this? Yes. It keeps slipping. You gotta bite on it, Darren.
It's literally like that scene from the fake sitcom When the Whistle Blows in the show Extras with Ricky Gervais, a show that makes fun of tired old jokes like this.
Deep breath and blow. Don't sulk. And then put your finger.
So Walken and Rebecca, they come to the island too because she regrets leaving him at the altar. Well, hey, I don't want to give away any spoilers in case you guys want to buy an out-of-print copy of this movie off eBay like I did. Anyway, Walken does a good job here, being sort of a mentor figure to Darren. After he takes a big giant poopy complete with stock fart sound effects, he offers some advice.
It's good to be married. It's fun.
He also starts having sexual fantasies about this chick who comes on to him at a bar. It is kind of funny. Like, is this how he does it? Like, he hasn't even started. He's just kind of lying there, trying to concentrate.
Daddy, are you okay? Daddy?
Yeah!
And they did the squirt joke too. It wasn't his penis, it was the bottle of the sunscreen that looks like the stuff that comes out of the penis. They did that in Austin Powers too.
Crikey.
You see, when he squeezed the sunscreen, and it squirted out, what is in the sunscreen bottle bears a striking resemblance to what's inside, like, a penis. Anyway, yeah, the movie's kind of rough, right? It was actually shot in 2000, and it took 12 years to get a release. The script wasn't all that good, but I feel like Walken was able to do something with it. Like, I feel like he went to his usual bag of tricks as an actor. That thick, tough New York accent, the confidence that controls a scene, and even these little mannerisms that just help add a little extra spice to a character. These are all tools that he's spent years refining and perfecting. And this film is a great example of that. And probably just that. Plus, this is the first time Walken worked with Robert Wagner since, then, well, you know, the thing, they were on a boat, and then there was Robert Wagner's on a boat in the movie, and then Walken's on the same boat at one point. Everyone get off the boat, please get off the boat. Wait a minute. Robert Wagner played number 2 in Austin Powers. It's another Austin Powers connection here. Did the director just really like Austin Powers? And wait, Christopher Walken was also considered for the role of number 2. There's a connection here that I don't think I was meant to uncover.
Yeah!
Moving on.
You and your butcher shop scale. He's always got to be different.
Whoa! What's that, man?
What's it look like?
You got no business with a f***ing gun, man!
Can't have an adventure without a gun.
This isn't an adventure, Kim. This is business.
Hey, give me that.
No!
Search and Destroy is a dark comedy focusing on Martin, a failed, down-on-his-luck businessman played by Griffin Dunne, and his attempt to turn his luck around by turning his favorite self-help book into a film. One person he turns to for financing is businessman Kim, played by Walken, who's also a fan of the book.
I've read that, you know?
Daniel Strong? You're kidding.
No. It had a powerful effect on me.
Initially, he's kind of hard to read as Martin pitches him the film, listening intently, steepling his hands, classic Walken gesture, by the way.
How can I help?
Then Kim starts to act out a little bit, first singing karaoke at a restaurant, complete with tap dancing. Walken recalls this song, Red River Valley, being picked only because it was in the public domain.
This valley, they say you are going. We will miss your bright eyes and sweet smile.
Then he introduces Martin to a friend of his, Ron, a hyperactive, shady businessman played by his longtime friend and frequent co-star, John Turturro, who's going to help raise money with a drug deal.
It's good. Yeah.
At this point, Kim reveals that he's not helping Martin for the money. He has this deep-seated desire to do something exciting with his life.
No, that's an impressive number, but I'm not doing it for money.
I think I know that, Kim.
If you could own half of Midtown, make $400 million, it's a bigger desk. But to do something out there in the world, that's a life.
And from this moment on, Kim is just thrilled to be a part of an adventure.
Martin, I have an office. I go there every day. This is something else.
It puts Walken's character in a fun little category, a guy who's just along for the ride and enjoying himself immensely for doing something out of character. Then things get dark after he impulsively shoots and kills Ron.
Okay, Ron's dead.
Look what I've done.
In the final act, Walken is at his best as his initial innocent glee takes a darker turn.
I've been afraid. I say it now, afraid to be tested, that I wouldn't be strong, but I was. You saw that. I was ready. He stood there. Look how his hand is shaking. Look how his hand is steady.
He becomes truly unpredictable, which is always the hallmark for a great Walken role.
I'm a shoe shine boy.
Overall, it's not a great movie, but the performances are all solid. And when I watched it, I found myself enjoying it more as it went along. Walken especially has the most magnetic presence in the film, and it was a fun surprise to see his character go from this kind of ambivalent businessman to a guy who just suddenly lets loose in a way that only Walken can do.
Yeah, shoe shine boy, never go to school. Shoe shine boy.
I'll teach you! Animal! You!
Don't you dare call me names!
I'll call you what I like.
No, you won't, and you just keep your
Stupid!
George!
What do you want?
I love this movie. Oh, God. In Who Am I This Time, a genuinely sweet, wholesome, made-for-TV movie for American Playhouse directed by Jonathan Demme, Walken plays wildly against type as Harry, a nervous, introverted hardware store employee who's possibly on the autism spectrum. But in his spare time, he's revered by the small town's community theater, and he somewhat begrudgingly plays the lead in every play they put on.
Would you consider playing the lead in this one, Harry?
Who am I this time?
It's kind of a fun testament to introverted actors. Despite being socially awkward, it can be easy to lose yourself in another character because, hey, it's not you. As the theater's putting on their newest production of A Streetcar Named Desire, the director approaches Helene, a withdrawn phone operator played by Susan Sarandon, to play the part of Stella opposite Harry as Stanley. Acting with Harry, it wakes up something inside her. There's just this immediate, white-hot attraction and sexual connection. Or so she thinks.
What's going to happen to that girl when she discovers what Harry really is? What Harry really isn't.
What follows is just a charming love story as Helene struggles with these two versions of Harry. And through acting, they help each other come out of their shell. She sort of unlocks this way of breaking down his wall by reciting lines from various plays.
Do you mean you love me, too? Gwendolyn?
Passionately. My own Ernest.
It's one of my favorite templates for a love story. You got two people with their own quirks and struggles, and they find peace and love with one another in their own unique way. I believe you Zoomers out there might call it matching each other's freak.
I have to go.
Where?
Home.
Wouldn't you take me to the cast party?
Not much on parties.
And these are two great performances. Really, like three performances. I mean, you've got Walken playing Harry, who is so riddled with anxiety when having to talk to someone. He just hems and haws. It's like he's physically in pain trying to have a conversation. Then Walken also plays Harry playing Stanley in the play. It's kind of brilliant because as Harry, he's an okay actor. He's not a big fish in a small pond necessarily. He's like a small fish in a tiny pond. He's going way over the top at times.
Since when you give me orders?
Are you gonna stay here and insult her?
You're damn tootin' I'm gonna stay here.
It's one thing to pretend to act badly. It's quite another to act okay, like that middle range. That's a weird balance, to have moments that seem great and others that are forced and mix it all up. And I love this because it's so different from anything we've seen Christopher Walken do. As for the whole film, on one level it has this ground roots inspiring feeling like Waiting for Guffman, just full of normal people coming together to play around and make something great. On another level, it's a nice tribute to those actors out there who truly are awkward in real life, but find an escape and a catharsis when they can be somebody else, anybody who's not themselves.
I was just wondering if you two might be available for the cast?
Who are we this time?